Okay, so this video is going to be a little different to my usual videos. I'm not going to be talking about any strategies or any indicators. I'm actually going to be getting a little bit more personal and going over my whole trading journey up till this point. So this means I'm going to be going back about 8 years or so and possibly even further to give you guys a little bit of context about my journey, how it started, why I started, and all the ins and outs, ups and downs, trials and tribulations of my journey. So sit back and enjoy my story. Okay, so let's go back to where it all started. I'm actually going to go a little bit further back than when I first started trading, just to give you some context about how I ended up in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, where I currently live. How on earth did I get here? And then we'll go into kind of when my trading journey started. So I finished school in 99, end of 99 in South Africa, and I decided to take a year out. My mother and my stepfather were actually living in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam at the time, and I hadn't quite decided exactly what I wanted to do. So I decided to take a year out. I came here, I stayed in Dar es Salaam with my mother, lived with her for a while, and I started working some of the pubs here, working some of the bars. It was kind of funny because most of the times I would work for like 5, 6, 7 hours behind the bar. I would get my money from the till, I'd go back around the other side, and then I'd basically just give my money back, have a few drinks at the same bar. So I never really made money. It was more of just a way to meet people, mingle, and I loved it. And I ended up meeting my wife that way, my now wife. So she was currently in the UK, also finishing school, but with the UK, they only finished in sort of June, I think. So she came down here for her school holiday in June, and then that's when we met. I was working at one of the pubs. She came to get a drink from me, and she kind of stalked me a little bit. Let's be honest, she stalked me a bit for a while. But anyway, we ended up going out for about 2 months. She was here for 2 months, and then her plan was to go back to the UK to carry on with her university, her studies. She already had a placement somewhere. That was kind of going to be it. And I remember driving with her mother and her to the airport, dropping her off, saying goodbye. It was really tough, and I kind of went back to my little flat, and an hour later I got a call from her mother saying she hasn't gone. So she ended up making a decision that night that kind of changed our lives forever for the good, and is kind of the reason I am where I am. She basically did a very movie-like move where she literally walked halfway down the walkway, the gate to the actual plane, and she just dropped her bags and she was like, I can't do this. I'm not going to get on the plane. And she decided there and then that she was not going to go. She was not going to leave me. Her parents were furious with me because it's your bloody fault. Why? So she ended up staying here like a very romantic, movie style, which is now a nice story to tell. But back then, actually, they were not happy with me. But anyway, we had about another 2 or 3 months here, and we made the decision at that point to both go to the UK. So we ended up both going to the UK. I worked full time. She did her studies. I did my studies part time. So I had to work full time to kind of afford to pay off the studies. So, it was tough times. We enjoyed the UK. But when we finished in the UK, we were like, you know what? Africa is just pulling way too hard. We had to get back to our motherland. We had to come back to Africa where hearts were. So we made the decision in 2006 to come back. It was 2007 to come back to Tanzania, to come back to Dar es Salaam. But just before that, in 2005, while we're still living in the UK, we actually got married. We had our wedding in the Greek church here in Dar es Salaam. It was an incredible wedding. So we got married, and at that point, there wasn't really this decision as to where we were going to live. We were like, let's give the UK a try. But it was like 2 years after that, we were like, this is not for us. Let's go back home. So we came back here, and I set up my own company, which was tough because at the time it was easy to set up a company, but it was not easy to run a company. Things were still fairly corrupt. It was just pay. Found it very difficult to make money, but we kind of slowly found our way, after a few years, I was doing all right. And then obviously we had our first child, and then money got tight. It got a lot harder to make ends meet. And then time kept going on. We had our second child, and things were tough. Things were very tight. So, we started with the first going to like nursery school, then going to school. So the school fees started coming in, started like adding up. It got very tough. It got very, very expensive. And thankfully we did have a lot of financial support from my wife's parents. They did help us out a lot, which I hated. I just always had this thing that I want to just walk on my own. I want to find my groove. And I was always looking for something. I was one of those guys that was always looking for something else. There has to be the next big thing. There has to be something I can do. So I was always wheeling and dealing and trying to find something that I could do, to kind of take over, to be my main earner. So anyway, fast forward to 2016, kids are a bit older, school fees are not getting any cheaper. And I end up kind of having this conversation with my younger brother, who had just recently, decided to start studying. He had bought a course because he had really got interest in forex trading and in stock trading and trading in general. And he had just done a whole course and he was really into it. And I remember like having a call with him and he was like telling me all about it. I didn't understand anything about it at the time. He was like, this is amazing, you can do this and the other. You set up an account and then you can start compounding, and you like throwing all these words, big words. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And all I got from that conversation is it potentially can be an incredible earner, right? Financially, you can find financial freedom from that. So kind of like that's when the seed was planted. That conversation back in about 2016, having this discussion with him, the seed was there. It was planted in my head that, okay, maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is where I can focus, do something on the sideline while I'm still doing my main work, my company work. Maybe this is a way that I can start growing some, finances somewhere else. So I remember speaking to him a little bit more about it, and he kind of told me that you've got to connect with a broker, you've got to sign up to a broker, and then you can put a little bit of money in, then you can start trading. He was like, make sure you practice, you find a strategy, do some kind of course, get some education on that. So that's kind of what I did. I started looking into it. I started searching online. I started trying to understand, trading. And unfortunately, one of the first things I typed in is how to make money fast with trading. And what ended up coming up was a lot of stuff on options trading. So my first kind of thing, lead into trading in general was options trading. And I was like, okay, how does this work? Oh, you've just got to guess if it goes higher or lower. You've got to basically got to just say, in the next time, for this amount of time, is it going to be higher? Is price going to be higher or lower than it is now? And I was like, oh, this is fairly easy. This is fairly straightforward. I remember it was like, you had call or put basically, which is a buy and a sell, which is not really buying and selling. It's more of a prediction. So it was a little bit more gambly. Maybe that was at the time why I liked it. And I found this strategy online that was like, you can make so much money using options trading because you use this martingale strategy or technique where you essentially, every time you lose, you just double up. And you keep trading until you basically will eventually make your money back and make some good profit. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to do this. I'm going to just start trading like this. And I remember I opened up an account with, I think it was something like IQ options or something like that. And I was like, this is it. Trade a little bit of a demo. I was like, okay, this is easy. And then I put in, I think it was like $50, which for me was actually at the time was quite a lot of money. $50 at the time for me was a fair amount of money. I'd never put any money in anything at all. And I remember slowly growing that to about $130. And I was like, that's brilliant. So I started and it was in a short amount of time. It was like within a week or so. So I was like, this is amazing. So I started going down on, writing notes. Like if I keep doing this at this rate, blah, 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 within like a year and a half, I think, or 2 years, I literally can turn this $130 into 100,000. And that was it. I was set. I was like, I'm going to do this. This is so easy. I'm just going to start trading and turn this into, a huge amount. And next thing that happened, at $130, I start trading exactly like I always did, but I had non-stop run of losing to the point that I just no longer had the capital to carry that. So basically wiped out that full $130, which, even though it doesn't sound like a lot, I think it wasn't even about the money. It was just my whole concept, my whole strategy, my whole idea had just been crushed in a matter of hours, and I was so stressed. I remember feeling so awful. My first big loss, I'm sure you guys felt that. And I was like, wow, damn, and it sucked, and I had to step away. I stopped trading like for a little bit because it really affected me. I was like, this is tough. Losing is tough. So I was like, I had to take a step back. I kind of took a break, but I ended up going back in and doing it like 3 more times, and every single time the same thing, grow, and then bam. And that martingale system, that's how it goes, right? You win, and then when it hits you hard. And I was just like, man, this is just not it. I can't deal with this. And I never really put in that much money. And looking back over my whole journey to this point, that's one thing I can say is I never invested too much. There was once that I did invest more than I could afford, but it still wasn't that much if you think about the amount. But for me, it was a lot, but I'll get to that in a bit. So basically at this point, I decided that this is not it. I need to find another way. And then I remember my brother saying to me, why don't you look into forex or stock trading, So I was like, okay, let me look into that. So I remember going to babypips.com. I started slowly educating myself on all the terms, all the things that I heard him speaking about, and I had no idea what he was talking about. So I slowly started educating myself, very basic education on the basics of forex trading. I decided that I was going to go the forex trading route. I'm not sure why, it just appealed more to me. So I started learning. Then I kind of found a few strategies that looked fairly good to me. And I remember back then, I would test strategies where I'd find a strategy on YouTube or wherever it was, and then I'd go to TradingView and I'd just go back a little bit in time, not even using the replay, just check it out and like, okay, that one, and then kind of find one that I like the look of, and that would be it. I'd be ready to go. So my back testing back then was not very good. I always tested it when I could see the data ahead of me. So, kind of cheating myself and trying to tell myself that this is a brilliant strategy. And I'd say this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago now that, I kind of got into the whole forex space. So I got to a point where I found a strategy after all this that I kind of felt like this is the one I'm gonna do well with. And I remember kind of looking for brokers, and I can't even remember. I typed in best brokers, top brokers, didn't even go on recommendation, just searching the internet, which was maybe a mistake. And one of the brokers came up. I can't even remember which one it was. I signed up and I was like, I think their minimum deposit was $250 or pounds. I think it was dollars, $250. So I was like, I'm gonna just put in the $250. And I think like about an hour or so after signing up, I ended up getting a call from the broker. Hey, this is such and such. I'm your manager. I'm here to help you. Any issues, make sure I'm going to make sure that trading is easy for you. We're going to make some money together. So it all sounded good, right? And it's like, me as a new trader, I was like, brilliant, let's do this. And he's like, do you have a strategy? And I'm like, yeah, I've got the strategy. I've just been looking. He's like, have you used it? And I was like, no, this will be the first time. And he actually talked me out of not using it. He's like, you know what you've got to do? This is how you've got to do it. And before that, he actually talked me into doubling the amount, right? So I was going to put in $250, which for me at the time was a lot of money. And he talked me into putting in 500 because like, no, you don't have enough leverage for that. You've got to put in at least 500. And I was very much against it, but I remember him kept pushing. And eventually I was like, okay, I'll put in the 500. And he was just like talking it up saying, we're going to make money. This is so easy. And I remember, let me just show you guys. I'll show you exactly how he showed me to trade that account. Okay. So what he did, guys, is he said to me, do you know investing.com? And I was like, yeah, I've seen it a bit. I use it for like calendar. And he's like, no, there's other stuff on there as well. It's really cool. So he leads me over to this here, the technical summary page, right? So we go over to the technical summary page together, and he's like, now look down there. Do you see any that have across the board all strong sell? And I'm like, yeah. AUD USD is like all sells. So like, that's it. It's that easy. You go in and you sell that. And I didn't even understand lot sizes. I didn't understand risk management. I didn't understand anything. And I'd opened up this account with $500. I didn't understand leverage. I understood nothing. All I understood was I'm going to buy and sell, and I'm probably going to make some money. So didn't know where to sell. And he was like, so for this one, just put in like this amount, just select it was like 0.5, so like 0.5 lots or whatever. And he's like, if it goes against you, but you can add. So like horrible advice, but at the end of the day, now that I look back, all he wanted was my money. He wanted me to lose. So I remember going in, and within 24 hours, that $500 was gone using his brilliant strategy. And I remember just feeling like such an idiot. I was like, why did you go with everything this guy said? He sounded so convincing, and I felt so defeated at that point. I was like, man. So I kind of took a little step back then. I kind of took a rest, and I was like, am I quitting at this point? I felt like, maybe I should just stop. And then just something just kept saying to me, just keep going, your break is just around the corner. You've got to just keep going. So I kept pushing on, I kept doing it. And I was like, if I stop now, then I failed. So I kept having that thought in my head that, the second I stop is when I'm actually going to fail. So I have to keep on. I've put money in, I've put time, I've already started this process, so I cannot quit and I've got to keep on going. So at that point, I remember I joined a group. I'm not even sure what platform it was on. She was on YouTube. I think that's where I initially found her. And she was basically trading this order block strategy, right? Teaching order blocks, how to trade order blocks. And that was her whole kind of strategy, was all around order blocks. And this was my first introduction into smart money concepts, I suppose. And I really liked the strategy. I traded on a demo account. I kept trading with this group for a while, and then I bought into, it wasn't signals, it was basically she would mark up the order blocks, the strong order blocks, based on her experience, because at that point I didn't really know what are the correct order blocks. So I didn't have that understanding. So I signed up. I think it was like $10 a month, probably one of the better $10 a month I've ever spent, to be honest. I set up I think Pepperstone. My brother introduced me to Pepperstone. I signed up for Pepperstone, which is a pretty good broker. I still have that account today. Started with a very small account and just started trading this, and it was growing slowly. And I kept trading this for quite a while with the group. She would mark up the order blocks. I would take my trades. I was moving forward very slowly, and I very quickly came to the realization, like, this is going to take me forever. As much fun as I'm having trading on this account and, seeing the progress, the slow progress, slowly moving forward. By the time this account actually gets to a point where I can actually start making a wage type of money, I'm going to be in my 50s, 60s. So it's like, is this it? I kept thinking to myself, this is not it. I don't have the capital. Unfortunately, I didn't have the capital because I didn't really have savings. All the money I was making was literally going directly into school fees, directly into living expenses. So I wasn't ever able to put money away. So I didn't have a little pool of money that I could dig my hands into. So it was tough. And I was like, I need capital. I need to find a way that I can get capital. Now, this is probably going to about 2018, when I'm kind of like, I've been trading for a while now, slowly making progress, but just figuring out that I need more capital. I had been learning a whole lot in the meantime, improving my manual trading, understanding trading in general, understanding my own psychology. Everything was going really well, but I just didn't have the capital. So I suppose at that time I started searching, capital, how to build capital as a trader. And obviously one of the things that started coming up a lot was these prop firms. And I was like, what is this? What is prop firms? And at the time, FTMO was the top of the pack, of a very small pack, to be honest. So I was looking into this. FTMO, you can take these challenges. All you got to do is, make 10%. And I think at the time it was in a month, so it was a lot tougher. You had a month to make the 10%. Then you go into the second phase. You got to make 5% in 60 days. I think that was 2 months. And then if you do this and you stick to the rules, they will give you whatever the account size that you chose to do. So I was like, man, this is good. So I took a couple trials. Trials went fairly well. I think I lost my first trial. I was like, okay, this is tough. And I ended up getting the pass on my second trial, which was only a 5%, right? So you get that sense of being able to do it, but it is 5%. So it's not that full amount, right? So I remember I signed up for a $10,000 account, paid for the challenge, and started doing this and thinking to myself, like, this is the way. I'm going to slowly, I'll get my $10,000 account. I'll make some profits from that, and then I'll just keep sizing up. It was a good idea, good plan, but I just could never get over the line. I just could not pass these challenges. They were so difficult, and once you're in them and the psychology and everything starts kicking in, it proved to be very, very difficult to actually pass these challenges. So I was like, this is tough. Like, I don't know how much better I can trade to actually do this. So I remember some of the times I would actually pass phase one, and I was like, then I would say to myself, this is it. If I can pass phase one, then I can definitely pass phase two. But then I wouldn't get across the line. I didn't get past phase two, and then I'd go back. And then I remember doing this over and over and over again. I remember taking a lot of FTMO challenges, the small accounts, the 10K challenges, and I was just digging into my own money, every time, even though they were not a huge amount, but every time it's like money spending that I'm like, oh man, this is a lot of money for me, So I remember at the time I was like, I need something else. I need an edge. I need some other way to kind of try and get me across the line. And I remember at this time stumbling across a video that Blue Edge Financial did where they were talking about a manual tool they had called the Bank Secret Indicator, where basically it helps you trade against the trend. So not trend as in trend, but against the what everyone is doing. So the whole idea was you trade the opposite to what 90% of traders are doing, right? Because they always say 90% of traders lose. So the concept was brilliant. I was like, this is brilliant. I'm going to try and maybe this can help. So I remember, and they also had a fantastic simulation tool where you could practice trading on past data. So I remember using this tool so much, and it really helped develop my skill. And I was using my order block strategy in conjunction with the BSI, the Bank Secret Indicator tool. And I would say my results were generally better, but I still just could not get over the line. You know, as much as I tried, I still passed a couple phase ones, never got through to the phase twos, and I never got across that line. And it was very tough. You know, everything I was trying, I was just like brick wall, brick wall, brick wall, brick wall. So after that, I tried another strategy I found online, an EMA strategy, which was a brilliant strategy. And again, it was like a placing positions always against yourself until price moves back. Not martingale. I wasn't increasing my size. I was just always adding in positions. I was stacking my positions, and my win rate was extremely high. But when you lost big. So I passed a few phase ones with that again, but just never got across the line, you know, and those losses I remember used to hurt, because you would trade so many hours to get those wins, get the small wins, and then out of the blue you just get this complete wipeout trade that just takes everything out. So psychologically, I remember that was quite a difficult strategy to use. So I was just like, I took a step back and I was like, man, this is this even possible? I remember thinking to myself, maybe I should just leave the whole getting funded thing behind and just concentrate on my small account, let it grow, and just, you know, over time, you know, it'll be bigger, and try and just keep on doing that, you know. But then there was just like, again, that little voice inside my head saying like, if you stop now, if you turn around now, your past could just be the next challenge. You know, you could pass the next challenge. If you stop now, if you quit now, is when you actually will fail. So I just said, okay, that's it. I'm going to keep on doing this. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find something that is going to help me get across the line. So then I think it was probably around 2018, you know, where I was like looking for that something else. And I remember stumbling across a video on YouTube, or it was an email. In fact, I think it was an email that I received from Blue Edge, because I'd already been a client in the past with them. I got an email where they were talking about this EA that they had developed, an EA that was specifically good at passing prop firms. And I was like, wow, is this fate? You know, is this like things happen for a reason? It's like, how did this end up in my thing? And I understand marketing is marketing, but there was just something about it. It's like, I'm looking for an answer, and then this email drops on my lap, and I'm like, you know what have I got to lose? Let's have a look. So I joined the video call that they did. It was like a live webinar. I joined it, and it all sounded so good. They had this EA called Titan X that people had already been passing prop firm challenges with. At the time, they only had one set file that you just plug and play and let this thing work for you, right? So I was like, okay, this is a lot of money. And it was literally, I had to really think hard about it. I was like, I've got to just give this a go. And the only reason I ever jumped in is because I remember they had this money back guarantee. They basically said, if this doesn't work for you, if you follow our rules 100% and you still don't pass after 5 attempts, then we will give you all your money back, and the money you paid for the product, and the money you pay for all of your challenges. So I was like, you know, let me give it a go. Worst case scenario, I don't get anywhere, but I can potentially get my money back. So that was always kind of like the driving factor. So I was like, okay, let's just do this. I'm gonna just give this a go, right? And I did. So I signed up. It was like mid to end of that must have been around 2020, I think, actually. I think this was like 2019 when I started. I think this must have been closer to 2020, actually, not 2018. This was around 2020 that I actually joined Blue Edge again after seeing this video. So I remember signing up and going through all of the training they give you, or the blueprint. This is how you do it. This is what you do. And I remember saying to myself, Brett, you have to follow this 100%, because worst case scenario, you have to at least be able to get your money back, right? Because I was putting in a lot of money at that time for me, and I was like, this is it. This is either gonna make or break me, you know? But I remember signing up, going through the blueprint, and I started my first challenge. I bought, at that time, it was My Forex Funds, because My Forex Funds was the kind of like the suggested one, because it was a little bit easier than FTMO because you only had the 8%. So I signed up. First challenge, I ended up failing, not because I failed, because I went below the 10,000, and I signed up for 100K. This is important because this is the first time I ever signed up for 100K. I'd been doing 10K before that, so 100K was a big deal for me. Suddenly I was seeing these big numbers, so psychologically it was tough, you know. And I ended up failing because the equity protector stopped, but it was a massive spike, so it didn't stop it quick enough, and I ended up losing more than I should have in a day. So instead of the 5%, it was like 5.3% or something. So ended up failing because of that. And I remember I just felt like, shucks, this is not good, you know. I thought this was it, and all my heart was in. And then I kind of like took a step back, and I was like, just keep on going. This is the plan. You know what the plan is. You do 5 challenges. If you don't, you get your money back, and we find something else. Sign up for the second, and I hit, boom, past phase 1. And then I'm starting to feel like, oh my gosh, I've just passed phase 1. This EA has done it. And we got to a point where we were like 4.8% in phase 2, and I was so close. And I remember I was at the gym, and the EA had gone into a trade. It was trading, and I had my phone, and I was just like, I couldn't concentrate in the gym. I was meant to be doing, I think it was arm day or whatever it was. I had a dumbbell in my hand, and I had the phone in the other hand, and I was just like watching the phone, and eventually it hits my target, and I just dropped the dumbbell. I'm like, I can't believe it. And just like that, I've now got a funded account, and it just felt like I was just breaking through this wall that felt like was indestructible, you know. And I suddenly broke through, and I can't even explain to you the feeling. Like, if I could give that feeling to anyone, it was just such an incredible feeling. I remember just rushing straight home and telling my wife, telling my daughter. My son didn't really care at the time. He was just like, what is this? I don't really care. He was younger. My daughter had been well kind of into everything I was doing. She had supported me. So did my wife. But I think they just got to a point where they kind of didn't believe it was going to happen either, you know, because it was like just fail after fail after fail. So I told them I've done it. And I remember, I think they were happier than I was. And I said to them, guys, just get dressed, put something nice on. We're going to go for dinner. We're going to go celebrate. And we did. We went out, we had dinner, we celebrated. And I was like, this is it. And I remember saying to them specifically at that night at the table, I said, this is the start of something, guys. This is where our journey turns around. It actually makes me emotional, like talking about it, because I actually am getting goosebumps, because I remember it so vividly, because I felt to myself like this was the turning point. And it was Titan. It was Titan that gave me that turning point. And it was such an incredible feeling, such an incredible moment to know that I'd finally done it, you know, after all the kind of tries and the attempts. And yeah, some people might say like you didn't, that the EA did. Yes, that's correct. But I found the EA, and I put my trust in the EA, and I put my trust in the company. And I was like, this is the way. And I don't even care that it wasn't me. And I still do my manual trading. I still do everything. But it was just such an incredible feeling to just break through that indestructible wall, you know, get through to the other side. So it was such an amazing feeling. So then that was the start. I got my first funded account, and then from that account I ended up getting my first payout. It was like 2.5% that I looked for. So after they took their 20%, I got $2,000. And I remember when that hit my account, I was like, this is real. You know, it was so weird to see the money flowing the other way, because I'd never seen that before. That was the first time. Okay, I was making small profits in my live account, but they were small and gradual, and it wasn't enough to even withdraw to get to experience it, you know. But this was money that just hit my account. And yes, it was money that I was kind of using to pay back what I'd already put in. But the fact was, the money was going the other way. It was actually happening, and it was such a cool feeling to actually receive that money from all the work that I'd put in. We're actually getting something out of it now. So then, as time went on, I ended up getting another 2 funded accounts with my forex funds. So I was sitting on 300,000. I got a couple more payouts from them, and I was just about to get another payout. I just made my profit on the third account, which I hadn't yet received my refund from. And that's when my forex funds shut down. It was all down, and I was like, oh man, what is going on? 300,000 gone. But it didn't affect me too much, because at that point I'd already made back all the money I put in to the whole Blue Edge thing. I'd made my money back, and I'd made back some serious profit. I'd made back some good profit. So at the time I felt like, this is okay. I don't mind this. We'll just go to another prop firm and we'll start again. And that's what I did. I moved over to True Forex Funds, and very quickly ended up getting my first funded account with them, getting a second funded account, getting some payouts with them. And, things were going really well. I think I just received my third account when they shut down. They shut their doors as well. I was just like, oh man, not again. But at the same time, again, I felt like, you know what, this is okay. I've got money back from them. I wasn't sitting on a situation where I'd spent more than I got from them. I got back more than I spent. And when they shut their doors the first time, I was still waiting on my new account. I was waiting again for actually from 2 accounts. I was waiting for a 2% from each account. So it was about 4 grand. And obviously that shut. So I was like, man, okay, we'll just forget about that. And then I was like, okay, we've just got to go again. We've just got to sign up to the next one. And what did I do? I went over to TFT, the funded trader. So I really did seem to pick them, I picked them, started trading with them, and bam. So started thinking like, is it me? Is this my fault? It is what it is. It was just unfortunate. I just picked the wrong horse every time. And I actually remember just before these guys, the True Forex Funds guys shut down, I actually ended up doing an interview with Blue Edge Financial. They asked me if I could do an interview because I had actually signed up my son for a 10K account that he ended up passing. He actually wanted to put the money he got for Christmas, he wanted to put this in to do what I'm doing. It's like, Daddy, I want to do what you're doing. I want you to take my money and let's see if we can grow it. So he had this understanding that he can actually put money in and get more out, right? And he did. He ended up passing, and he ended up getting, I think, 2 payouts from it before True Forex Funds went down. But the point is, I had an interview with Blue Edge Financial. Adam interviewed me. It was a great interview. I remember we were talking about my son, and that was the main topic, is that they say like even he could do it. If he can do it, although he wasn't doing it, I was trading it for him. Obviously he wasn't doing it, but he made the decisions. He selected the set file. He was like, this is what I want to do. And this is like, when he got payments, he's like, put it back in, buy more. So we had got to a point where we were about to pass another challenge for him, but unfortunately all shut down. So we didn't get there. But this already kind of opened up that relationship that I had with Adam. And a little while down the line, they actually put down on their Discord channel that they were looking for someone to come in as a sort of someone to help out with their content on the YouTube and, some of the shorts and stuff that they were doing on Instagram. And I kind of was in that field in my business here anyway. So I was like, this would be perfect. I could do this. And I already knew the product. So I was like, what's the worst that can happen? So I applied, and I ended up getting the job, and I ended up, starting to work with Blue Edge, which was a fantastic thing because I now got to see the inner workings of this company that had brought me success, and I was like, and it was even better when I was in, because I was like, just watching this company work and how they were constantly innovating, how they were building this product, which now is just phenomenal, but it was just constantly getting better. I kind of was like in it, and I was like living with everything that was happening, and it was such a cool feeling. But anyway, going back to my my trading. So TFT, I signed up for, I got funded 50K. As soon as I got funded, I hadn't started trading it yet. I bought into, I think it was about 4 more accounts. It was 2 or 3 50K accounts and 1 or 2 100K account challenges that were ready to go. And then they shut their door. And I was just like, okay, here we go again. Now what? And then I was like, okay. And then I took a break. I took quite a long break from trading, concentrated on doing my content with Blue Edge, concentrated on a little bit of my manual stuff. Because I was like, I don't know what's happening with the whole industry. And it gave me a lot of time to think. And in the meantime, the True Forex Funds guys came back and I actually got that payout that was waiting. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I got my payout and I bought into 4 new challenges with them. I bought 4 challenges because it was like some special, because I was like, if these guys have come back after this, they're not going to shut their door again. And unfortunately they did. And between them and the funded trade, I ended up losing about 8 challenges that I just bought into. And with the funded trade, I lost a 50k account, which I never even traded on once. So that was unfortunate. They are promising to bring it back. But this got me thinking, and if you guys watched the previous video I did, I talk about this whole concept and where I am now and how I am now moving on to trade these prop firms. Because I did kind of think, maybe I should just step back, take the money I have, because I started putting some of the money that I was getting from the prop firms into my live account. So my live account started growing, and now I can get to a point where I can start trading and making a little bit more than I was. But I was making so much more with the prop firms, because that capital was there. So I took a step back and I kind of rethought how I'm going to trade it, which is what I'm doing now. And it's what I talk about in that video. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the point is that it's basically, I'm now at a point where I've kind of reset. I got to 600k funded. That was all taken from me. And I'm now kind of like just building back up, But the cool thing is the whole process has made me enough money to keep buying in. It's generated its own income. So I'm now reinvesting, but I'm kind of spreading my eggs big time across multiple prop firms. And I'm essentially going to trade prop firms from now on as if they are going to close, right? And the cool thing now is talking about the Blue Edge product as well. It's got so much better than it ever was. Like, it was good before, but now they've added the hedge bot, which means you are hedging on a live account, whatever you're doing on any of your challenges, which means that you are trading risk-free. So when you're buying into a challenge, no matter what happens, you're gonna make that back. Even if you lose the challenge, your hedged account is gonna make that back. And I've been trading that now for a month and a bit, and it's going fantastic. I'm loving the hedge bot, and I wish this hedge bot was out when I first joined. I'm telling you now, anyone that joins Blue Edge now, you guys are so lucky, man. Like, when I joined, it was a fantastic product, but man, if this was available when I first joined, I would just be, man, you guys have got it easy. So make sure you join. And if you do want to join, speaking about that, make sure you go to www.propfarming.com. Have a look at the video that Adam has put on there for you. It's a little demo to give you guys an idea of the product. Trust me, if you guys sign up, if you guys have anything that I've said in this video, you guys are like, yes, that's me. I've struggled. I'm struggling to pass prop firms. I need more capital. I mean, who doesn't, right? This is everyone. This is, traders is one of the biggest problems. We need that capital. Have a look at this. If you have the funds available, sign up for this, guys. You will not regret it. Trust me. It's such a fantastic product. It's such a fantastic company. And I'm not just saying that because I work for them. I'm saying that because I work for them, because I can see from the inside, this company works hard to constantly make the product better, and they have done. In the 2 or 3 years that I have been with them, this product has just got better and better year on. It's just every single year it gets better, and even when you think there's no ways this product can get better, it does. So I'm not going to go too much more about the strategy that I'm using now. I am doing now manual, and I'm still trading my live account because that has grown a little bit bigger. So that's my manual. I'm still taking the odd challenge manually because, I love to trade manually. But my whole plan has changed now. Now that I'm trading prop firms as if they are going to close, it's made it so much easier. Like my mental game, my psychology is in the best place it's ever been. I find trading is a lot easier now because of that. I'm almost expecting the worst, but I'm trading it with that in mind, right? I feel like instead of them taking advantage of us as traders, we should be taking advantage of them. They want to give us the capital, then let them give us the capital. Let us make as much as we can until they close. And that's what I'm doing. So please make sure you check that video. I'm going to leave it at the end of this video. I'll leave that at the top. So that's my journey, guys, up to this point. I've done it all. It's been a roller coaster. I've had ups, I've had downs, I've had crazy good moments, I've had horrible moments. But one thing I would say that I'm quite proud of myself throughout it all is I feel like I never put in more than I could afford. There was once that $500 that maybe was a little bit more. It didn't completely take me out. I was always able to come back from it. I did trade a lot on demo accounts, and I always was very, very cautious with the money I put in. And I think that's kind of, been one of the big factors for me and for my journey. And now I'm in a place where it's kind of paying for itself. I'm so excited to see where the next year goes, because I now have my eyes on the 1 million funded. I'm looking to get there. My plan is to get there within a year. So make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow this channel if you want to follow my journey, if you want to continue with my journey. If you haven't subscribed to this incredible channel already, make sure you do, because we are constantly bringing out some educational videos that help anyone that is manual trading, anyone that is looking at another way to trade. We give it all. We give out, the best content we can. Subscribe. Make sure you're part of this, guys. And from me, that's it. We'll definitely say that one of the biggest things as a trader is never give up. Make sure you keep pushing forward. Have your goal in mind and just concentrate, and don't over risk yourself. Don't over leverage yourself. And with that being said, guys, that's it from me. That's my journey so far, but it is definitely not over. I've still got a long way to go, and I hope you guys join me for the ride. Now, with that being said, I'm going to leave you guys there. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, weekend, week, whenever it is, and we will see you in the next video. And please remember, guys, the second you give up is the second you fail. Remember, that next big thing could be just around the corner, and if you stop, you will never get there. So keep on pushing forward, guys. Continue with your dream, and yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.